Every story has a start and an end, and our story starts here. Chapter 1, finally.
Boston College has finally done it! For the first time in program history, the Eagles are national champions!
I remember being at the 2021 National Championship. My dad and I had driven down that morning before the game. It was a really long drive, and I was just so excited to go watch the game.
We were standing right behind the bench, and all those just unseen contributions of players, either on the bench or coming in and out of the box, and just the support and the unconditional love you could see just radiating off of every teammate. Everyone was so bought in.
I mean, being like a freshman was crazy because it was like, you don't know any better, and then all of a sudden you're in the Final Four and Tat was in, all of a sudden you're in the national championship game.
It was towards the end of the game, and all the girls had ran over to us with the trophy first, and I was front row, standing next to Mallory.
These girls didn't know who I was necessarily, but I was in the stands, and I mean, we were one, we were a family, and I think that really stems to just the BC community. And
they were holding up the trophy, and I had barely even met any of the girls, so it was just such a surreal experience, being oh my gosh, I get to be part of this next year and every other year after that.
I don't even think I allowed myself to fully process it, or else I'm sure I would have had a nervous breakdown. That team taught me so much and definitely helped me be the player I became. The biggest thing I learned was probably just you're never out of anything.
Every skyscraper needs a strong base. Chapter 2, Foundation.
Over the preseason, our team really focuses on respecting every opponent and coming in ready to go. So our leaders did a great job last year of making sure we were all locked in and focused.
The standard here is winning. There's no excuse. You don't lose games here, that's not the expectation.
We pride ourselves in coming into every single game that we play as prepared as possible, no matter the opponent.
In those first 4 games, we had really focused on trying to have a strong start.
Once you get to the first few games of the season, obviously the goal is a national championship, but that's more of a end game thought, so you don't want to let that message get too big and get the national championship too far in your head when it's just the first game of the season. So being able to take it step by step and a game at a time, that's a huge thing that we focus on, is not letting the big picture stuff get in our way.
A 4-0 start is good, but we're always looking to get better.
It might not be easy, and it might hurt, but sometimes you have to fall before you can climb. Chapter 3, Déjà Vu.
This is the first time these two teams are meeting since Northwestern's 18-6 blowout win. Boston College with some revenge on the mind.
I mean, the tough part was that I felt so prepared before we played Northwestern that game, and I think so did the whole team. We felt we were so prepared, we were so ready.
Going on that field, we were all excited. We just weren't necessarily focused or prepared. There were too many distractions.
We felt like we were so ready in warm-ups, and then when we lost a little bit of that control, it was a little difficult just because we felt like we had everything under control, and then we were kind of playing with a fear factor, we were scared.
I think the main message that was relayed to the team was just, how do we allow Northwestern to come to our home field and punch us in the face in the first 5 minutes of the game, like they did in the 2023 National Championship? What was the mentality that we had that allowed that to happen, and how can we learn from that and fix it so that it never happens again?
And you get the feeling that maybe this isn't the last time these two teams meet this season.
In the ACC, every game is a battle, and the Eagles are ready for war. Chapter 4, The Ascent.
When I was transferring, I always knew I wanted to stay in the ACC because it's so competitive. Every single in-conference game is like you're playing in the ACC championship.
It definitely is one of the hardest conferences. I think you're going from playing Duke one weekend to UNC to Syracuse.
ACCs are so exciting because they just mean more.
The best way to prepare for the ACC games is to play those ACC teams in the regular season, just like you would like you're playing for an ACC championship.
Ahern right through. Ahern is stopped.
Into the 8, shot, score! Driscoll this time.
I would say the Duke game was a huge turning point for our team. Having a game that really everything played out, the game plan played out. We had amazing offense, we had amazing defense, and it was an overall team win.
From the defensive perspective, Duke plays like 2 or 3 different styles of defense, so we were really like scouting a lot so that the attack could be prepared. So it was really nice to see that what they threw at us couldn't really faze us.
Add another for the Eagles, double digits.
Becky made a like flying interception. And the week prior during practice that week, she was like, how cool would it be if I did this? Like, I think this is gonna present itself in the game, and it presented itself so beautifully.
Each game, when we prepare to our highest extent and hold ourselves to that high standard, I think it prepares us for even bigger matchups in the future.
When it comes to the Eagles in the orange, every game is a fight.
I think coming into Syracuse games every single year, we are prepared for it to be close to the last minute of the game.
Whether we're up by 3, Syracuse is up by 3, it doesn't matter. The game's not even close to over. It might as well be 0-0 because any team can go on a run like that.
It was freezing cold, it was raining. Syracuse is always a good team to play, and we always play them last, which kind of, with it comes nerves, but it's also excitement.
Oh, what a look! Boston College back in front.
The game was up and down, personally for myself and for our team. I think we had better moments than others, and I think that there were some saves I could have made, and there were some saves that I didn't make.
What a move! What a save! Dolce turning Mushnick aside.
This was like such a unique feeling because I had so much trust in my defense. Shea and net with Sydney Scales, Shea Baker, Lydia on ball.
We go to overtime between Syracuse and Boston College. Not a surprise. Will the neon-clad fans be celebrating after the final goal tonight?
Basically a 1-on-0 shot right down the middle, and I remember just like clenching my whole body, being like, oh my gosh, like what is about to happen right now?
And then when it came down to the last shot, I mean,
Savannah Schweitzer has been a star in the second half. An open Smith, save, Dolce! The sophomore comes up huge!
She came up with the save, of course, and I just remember in my mind, I was like, there's no way we're gonna lose this game right now.
I literally remember thinking on the line, I was like, cast.
When the ball's in our sticks, I have a hard time worrying.
Watching the ball go in the back of the net, her running over, is one of the best moments in my BC career, honestly. Anytime Cassie scores, she's so talented, and the way she can finish the ball and finish the play and finish the game, honestly, is amazing, and how talented she is.
She's known as having the clutch gene, but there was no way that we were gonna lose that game, and Cassidy pulled through.
Going into the ACC tournament following that game, I think it was just, we knew there was something special about this team, that no matter what the score is early on, we're gonna come back and we're gonna fight.
Every moment like that prepares you for what's gonna come in the future.
The regular season is over, but an Eagle's natural habitat is the postseason. Chapter 5, Back to Back.
The biggest thing that people kept telling me is like, this program is built to peak at the right time. It really is a different mentality. It's do or die, and it's like the expectation is to go to the national championship.
How much extra work are you gonna put in these 2 weeks? You know, how much film are you gonna watch? How much better can we be 2 weeks from today?
Leading into ACCs, we know all those competitors.
If you don't deliver a win, then you're done.
Day has turned tonight in Charlotte, North Carolina. Boston College taking on the number 6 seed Duke.
Coming out against Duke, we knew we beat them earlier in the season, but we put that behind us and focused on it as a complete new matchup and a complete new game. And I think just focusing on us as a team rather than our competitor really allows us to leverage our strengths and come out strong.
And Boston College opens the scoring.
Something big that we talk about on the offense is sometimes you, sometimes me, always us.
Rachel Clark adds another, a first half hat trick.
If you were to tell myself 5 years ago I would have been playing on the offense with Emma Pinto, McKenna Davis, like it's just crazy to me.
We kind of weirdly know like what each other, like what we're gonna do on the field.
I remember one of the first practices I had with Emma, I kind of just like looked through the ball and she like caught it and scored. She was like, wow, I didn't even know you were gonna pass that. And I was like, well, I didn't even know you were gonna be right there, but like it kind of just worked.
Davis takes it herself and scores. McKenna Davis.
Our draw team is composed of the most powerful, confident, just problem solvers, I'd say, on our team.
Our whole draw team works insanely hard on and off the field. Film, extra meetings, extra like wrist work.
Whether it's Andrea, Cass, Ryan, Abby, Belle, anyone who's involved in that, they were just so gritty and so willing to do whatever it took to do their job.
It'll be Boston College, Notre Dame, as the Eagles advance to the semifinals for a 7th straight year.
During the Notre Dame game in the ACC tournament, I remember being so inspired by Sydney Scales. She put it all on the line, and I think she was really fueled by the fact we had lost in such a heartbreaking way in the regular season, and I remember her, but also the whole defense, really buying into like that extra fight and finish.
You see all her stats and her caused turnovers and her ground balls, but what you don't see is how she really bands us together and connects the defense.
You know, you can't go out for an interception and risk not getting it if you don't think that your teammate is gonna slide if you miss it. You can't run to try to get a ground ball when it's a 2v1 if your team's not ready to slide behind you and your goalie's not ready to make a save. You know what I mean? You can't do any of those things if you don't have the right people behind you and have the trust in those people that they're gonna do their job, and if they don't have the trust in you.
But you have people like Sydney Scales and Hunter Roman, senior defenders who have started every game since they came to Boston College as a freshman.
That game was very back and forth, but just to be in it for so long defensively, and I think there was a little extra pride after the game knowing that we just dominated defensively, and it gave us, like, I think it gave myself and the defense a lot of extra confidence going into the championship game.
But the Eagles are headed back to the ACC championship game to defend their crown in the Queen City.
Any game from that 2024 season where we were down by a decent margin was mostly due to us beating ourselves.
The first part of the game was tough. I mean, being down 5-1, no one really wants to be down that much, especially so early on in the game.
We all know when we start out like that, it's just not what we prepared for. We're not sticking to our game plan. We're not doing what we need to do.
Straight to the back of the net, Emma Ward.
Our game plan wasn't necessarily the best going into that game, but because we prepared so hard and focused on all the hypotheticals, we were able to quickly shift and gain that momentum and that power back.
Now down to 5. Boston College goes full field. Transitions work beautifully for BC. And now a chance to tie, and they do. Kayla Martello.
There was magic wherever you wanted to look. It was just so incredible, especially being down, playing an opponent that was such a rivalry, having our parents there to watch us.
I think without a doubt, like looking into the sea of neon and never hearing them let down, like screaming their heads off, that absolutely played a factor into our energy and our belief in each other.
Lapinto changes direction, has a step, and uses it! Martello got it again! Kayla Martello, 6 shots, 6 goals. A dynasty that continues to show up in big games. The Eagles back-to-back ACC champions.
I don't know why I'm still not freezing that.
You don't come to BC if you don't want to compete for an ACC championship, if you don't want to compete for a national championship. Anyone who comes here, whether it was 8 years ago or they're coming here in 3 years, they're coming here to compete at the highest level. Acacia and Jen, Sam and Callahan, they do a great job of reminding us we haven't won anything yet. Like, yeah, maybe this is the expectation, but that doesn't mean it's just achieved.
Our coaches are unbelievable. They know what they're doing. And I think it really puts into perspective when you see other teams and you see other programs. They're not able to do what we're able to do because of just how much sacrifice our coaches put into the program.
Going to the Final Four is always such a special opportunity. I grew up watching BC go to the Final Four, and it was always something that I had dreamed to be a part of. I was really nervous, excited to see how it was going to go. It was our 3rd time matching up with Syracuse, and every game had been kind of a roller coaster and a really good game. So this one was kind of who was going to be the better team that day.
In big games and high-stakes moments, you look to your leaders. And I'm taking our leaders any day of the weeks. Chapter 6, Guess Who's Back?
What a goal! Behind the back, Emma LaPinto ties it at 1. In it now, Davis takes it herself, perfectly placed.
But I think spark plays are seriously like what we thrive off of and something that help us win the game.
I remember Acacia saying, like, where are those plays? Like, where are the hustle plays? Because that's BC Lacrosse, and that's what we need. And we needed a spark.
Being able to have a player that can just step up at any given time is so important, especially when you have a team with 7 offensive threats. You can't stop all of them. So Rachel being like strong and brave enough to step up into that role is so amazing, and like that can be really hard to do, to put the team on your back. I think that's a really difficult challenge, and her being able to come in and just like know her role and do it so well was really important for us.
Clark stings the corner.
I believe that we had a group chat for sideline sellies, and they would be like, we knew on goal 6, like, we were gonna throw Wes in the air, and like, we knew for like goal 7, we were gonna do like a cha-cha line. Those sideline sellies might have changed, but like for me and Maddie, I don't really know exactly when this started. It might have been my freshman year when we were playing Maryland. We started chest bumping, and I don't know exactly why. It just continued to stay. And you know, we always got Wes as our sidekick, and she started joining in on us. I'm gonna have to find a new sideline person to chest bump this season, and I'm excited.
Boston College getting the stops on the defensive end. Now can they find a way to get it past Schweitzer? Clark seals it for Boston College. And there is no doubt now they are headed to their 7th straight national championship game.
There's a lot of things that we have discussed like throughout the entire season, but a few that like stick out to me were, one, like, this is our last time being with this group of seniors. Like, for me, they had been there for me for 3 years, and I have made like some of like my best friends with those girls, and thinking about not being able to give them a win to end their season was something that like was pushing me.
Seeing how they developed into such powerful leaders, whether they were named captains or not, each of them took it upon themselves to really inspire and, you know, connect the rest of the team.
We were doing everything for our seniors that year. Like, our seniors dedicated so much time. They were so inspiring. Andrea Reynolds like had this fire under her the entire season that I did not want to lose for her.
She's always like the grittiest player on the field, the most competitive, but like seeing how she prepared and practiced as soon as it was tournament time, like it was shocking, and I think it fired everyone up.
I watch someone like Dre day in and day out work so hard at what she does. She was the grittiest person on our team.
Lizzie and Hunter and all the defenders, I mean, like, they're the best defenders in the world, and we get the opportunity to compete against them at practice.
So many people on the team would run through a wall to get us that national championship.
We all sat in a circle, and our whole team, and we talked, we got to like reflect on one Final Four moment. I don't know if I want this on film, but it was Belle Smith. I'm sorry, I've never seen her cry before. And she started crying, and she was like, it was last year in the locker room, and it was just like silent, and all you could hear was people like throwing their cleats out, and we had just literally lost by 12. And I think about that moment so much, like looking at Belle, like sobbing, thinking about the year that we lost literally by 12. And I was like, oh my God, I need to actually like lock in and win for Belle Smith right now, because I have never seen her like that. And it was just so like a vulnerable moment that we had, and the whole team experienced it. And I was just like, oh my God, we have to win now.
Chapter 7. Here we go again.
Northwestern, you could not have scripted a better start for the Wildcats. Northwestern trying to go back-to-back national championships, and they're well on their way after the first quarter.
Yeah, I think that huddle, being down 6-0 in the national championship, was a huddle that we'd had before. It was the same as the huddle when we were playing Syracuse in the ACC championship. It was the same as the huddle playing Northwestern. Obviously, it's a little different. It is the national championship, but the message was similar of like, hey, we're not playing BC Lacrosse right now.
And I'm sitting there and I'm like, this is not happening again. Like, this has to be a joke. Sophomore year, I was upset. I was like, oh my God, we're losing, blah, blah. I was like, no. I was pissed.
We just weren't playing our game. We were frazzled, like we weren't winning possessions. We were turning it over on the offensive end.
I had so much going through my mind. I was sweating. I was hyperventilating because of the heat. And in that moment, I met with Callahan. She calmed me down a little bit, and we just, for myself, I had to take it shot for shot. For offense, we had to take it goal by goal. Like, we had to dig ourselves out of this hole.
I remember thinking if it becomes 7, we're screwed. But if we get the next stop, we're good.
This is the largest deficit that Boston College has faced this entire season, being down to 6 goals to Northwestern.
I also remember thinking as we were leaving that timeout, like, this is just gonna make the story so much sweeter.
When Kayla has a hot stick, she's literally automatic.
She's somebody who's just so level-headed and so driven in her own way and doesn't rely on any external factors.
Adjustments in game are so critical, especially at a stage like this.
Martello again! 4 straight goals for the senior.
She was just such a hard worker, and always asking like me questions or other scout defenders, like, what can I do here, or what are you seeing like this, and was really receptive to anything that we had to say. Putting all those goals together so quickly and in a time of like such desperate need, it was pure like humble leadership, and it was so cool because I was like, you've worked so hard for this. This is your moment.
I mean, defensively, when you see someone take over the game offensively, I think we're just thinking like, all right, we have to have her back now.
It instantly lights everyone up. Body language is different. Mentality shifts. You start playing with a little bit more of a spark. The draw looks different, the D looks different. Everyone's playing more together.
I remember going into the locker room, I think we were down by 2 at halftime, and just like all the seniors being like, we're still in this. Like, and like half of them were like trying to fire everyone up, and half of them were like, there's still X and O's of this game that we need to figure out if we want to win.
I think it got pretty clear that we had all the momentum on our side. They weren't scoring on their possessions, they were missing some 8 meters, and I think it's just, you could feel the tangible momentum shift.
I remember watching the save from Shea, the fast break clear so well, and like I can tell when Rachel's like, I need to pass the ball off, or like I'm going to goal, and from the 30-yard, I'm like, oh, she's good. She's going, I got her back up if needed.
It's just such a testament to how our team works together. Like, I made the save.
Has a step on scales, missed it.
And then Lydia would do anything, sell herself to get the ground ball.
Battle for the ground ball.
Who clears up to Shea, who will run down the field, pass to Rachel, and Rachel's gonna bury that 10 out of 10 times.
Clark weaving through. Rachel Clark ties it at 11. Boston College tied for the first time today after the Eagles went down by 6.
Every single person that is on our team works so hard, and even if like you're not getting the reps in practice, like those girls are the ones that are doing like the scout reps, and they're watching the scout film. They watch more film than anyone.
And during practice, Maddie does such a good job becoming who we're gonna play, and that just like goes to show how dedicated our scout players are for this team. We want to do everything that we can to prepare our players so that it feels like game time during practice.
Mallory, obviously great. Everyone wanted to play for her and rally around her because she was such an unselfish teammate, and she was always there for the team and wanted to put the team first.
She's always coming up to me, what do you need, what can I do? And she knows if I messed up, she's like getting me out of my head. I think she's right by the box all the time. She's that person that I'm just, whenever I'm in my head, tired, like she just gets me out. She's my ultimate hype man.
Brooke McCloy, her unconditional drive and energy at practice, whether she's on the scout team or whatever her role is, she's making everyone around her better every day at practice.
Annabelle, Kit, and Maddie as well were such a positive reinforcement, and we were defending the attackers as they shot and caught the ball, and she was like, this could help them score like the goal of their life in the national championship.
I remember we played UNC, and Kirk for the entire week was doing this one alley dodge. She would rep that like, I don't even know how many times.
They were gonna treat practice like the game, so that we showed up and we knew what the other team was gonna do, and we were so ready to play. And again, I don't think they get enough credit. Like seriously, I think the whole team is almost indebted to them for the unselfishness that they displayed.
Our seniors had been dreaming since their freshman year.
That senior class got together in the middle of the season and said, this is our final run. We want to bookend our careers. Freshman champions, senior champions.
It was time to make that dream a reality once again.
A year ago, when these two teams met to decide the national championship, it was all Northwestern. They won it 18-6. Looked like it was headed that way again when the Wildcats jumped out to a 6-0 start. Boston College has battled back. Now can they take the lead for the first time?
Like, it literally gives me chills thinking about it, because especially in that game, her sole job was to get the draw and get us the ball, and she's the most selfless player on the entire field.
tenacity, like willing her way through the 8 meter, and Andrea fighting like a million purple defenders.
25 seconds to shoot. Weeks spinning her way free.
Someone's going to get one of those goals, and it's going to make a huge difference.
The rebound. Boston College leads for the first time today. Andrea Reynolds in perfect position for the scoop and score.
When she scores a sick goal like that, it's just such a momentum booster, like our whole team. And seeing how fired up she was, it's just, that's what we needed in that moment.
The total identity of a BC midfielder, and also like the absolute beast and hard worker that she is.
Dre just did that for us, like defensively, like we need to have her back there.
It's Skane again, in attack mode, goes to goal, denied by Dolce. Biggest save of the day for the sophomore.
And the Eagles have numbers here.
Clark up to Davis, she scores! You can't do it any better in transition. Dolce the stop, and Davis cashes in on the other end.
Callahan does a really good job as a coach preparing us for like the exact shots that we're gonna see in games and how we study each player on how they're gonna shoot.
I had just seen a shot from Erin from that angle, so that shot, she shot it high, it made the save. Fast forward to when she got on the line again. In that moment, like obviously I am aware of the clock. Like I make the stop, we win.
Of course, like they have that very good, like well-known 8 meter play where like you look off, fake the pass, no looker into the middle. Like I've seen it 1,000 times, and I was like watching that, I was like, oh my God, it's like, this is exactly what's gonna happen.
I just remember them stepping up to take the 8 meter and like grabbing onto my teammates and just crossing every single part of my body.
I feel like my whole life is flashing.
Yeah, thank God for Shay's left foot. That's all I can say.
Erin Kuykendall, number 2 in white, on the 8 meter.
Passes it off, Dylan Amonte! Boston College wins!
I was so happy. I was feeling so many things. I think I started crying.
I've never felt that before, and I know that like that moment's gonna stick with me for the rest of my life.
I think it truly was the best feeling I have felt in my entire life.
And I just remember like screaming my head off. Like I don't even remember like what I was saying.
I honestly still can't believe it, but when the buzzer went off, all I wanted to do was hug my teammates and hold that trophy as high in the air as I possibly could.
I hope you enjoyed this look back at last season, because as of right now, that's over. As far as we're concerned, this team has not won anything yet. To everybody who was on that team, it's time to do it again. To the freshmen in this room right now, it's time for you to prove yourself. As someone once said, our favorite ring is the next one.